What happened to Shekina Garner after 90 Day Fiancé Season 11 amid behind-the-scenes castmate drama? Shekina Garner recently exited 90 Day Fiancé Season 11, and it's time for an update on her current life as a behind-the-scenes feud is taking place. Shekina debuted in the franchise in 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way Season 5, when she moved to Turkey to pursue her relationship with SARPER CRIES. The pair's journey was followed once more in The Other Way Season 6, before SARPER moved to America on the K-1 visa and married Shekina in 90 Day Fiancé Season 11. Shekinah and Sarper, both in their mid-40s, have carved themselves out as a unique couple in the franchise, and they've drummed up a lot of interest. Currently, Happily Ever After? Season 9 is airing, and Shekinah and Sarper are absent from the spin-off, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are done with the network for good. Shekinah and Sarper's 90 Day Fiancé journey. From Turkey to America. When Shekinah moved to Turkey in The Other Way Season 5, she had planned to return home every other month to meet up with her daughter, who was in boarding school in California. Shekinah and Sarper met on a dating app and fell in love. Sarper notoriously had slept with over 2,500 women before he met Shekinah, but was ready to drop his bad boy behavior in favor of settling down. However, Shekinah and Sarper had several major communication breakdowns, and one of their fights even turned physical when Sarper ripped out one of Shekinah's extensions out. Moreover, Sarper made a terrible impression on Shekinah's sister, SHREK-INAH, saying that Shekinah acted like a S***T. Despite their glaring relationship red flags, Shekinah and Sarper have always maintained how much they love each other. Over the last few years, it has been revealed that Sarper has a child from a previous relationship that he does not see, that he wants another child while Shekinah does not, and that Sarper has been married before, although he said he never loved his ex. Sarper and Shekinah had 90 Day Fiancé's first ever betting, and although Sarper was getting cold feet, he went through with the marriage. Shekinah got approval from her daughter to marry Sarper as well. Shekinah is not living in post-marital bliss. Shekinah and Sarper have been on and off. When Shekinah and Sarper arrived at the 90 Day Fiancé Season 11 tell-all, they were not in a good place. Their time spent married was marked by frequent arguments and emotional struggles, with Shekinah feeling unsupported and Sarper feeling like Shekinah was making him crazy. Sarper said he moved out of Shekinah's place for 10 days, that they had a tense Christmas, and that they weren't in a good place. The only thing going for them was their sex life, although they spent the night before the tell-all apart. However, at the tell-all, Shekinah complained that she never got a wedding ring and banned from Sarper. But he surprised Shekinah by delivering both. They had several fights during the tell-all, but the ring quieted things down. Online, Shekinah has shared several cryptic Instagram stories related to what seems like a breakup, but the truth remains dubious. Last month, Sarper and Shekinah were spotted at the airport in Miami with Sarper's parents, which means the pair are still trying to make things work. Amani Jlassi is releasing a diss track about Shekinah. Amani feels wronged by Shekinah. Besides her relationship with Sarper, Shekinah has been feuding with her 90 Day Fiancé Season 11 co-star, Amani Jlassi. Amani had pre-warned Shekinah via Instagram DM that she was sorry for whatever she was going to say about Shekinah. At the tell-all, Shekinah had an attitude towards Amani, and criticized Amani's new plastic surgery reasoning. Amani also called Shekinah out for asking her privately if her throuple girlfriend, Eni Aguirre, was trans. Amani accused Shekinah of being fake and calculated regarding her plastic surgery and social media behavior, while Shekinah said Amani's criticisms were projections fueled by jealousy and a need for attention. The women left the tell-all in a confrontation, and Amani has taken it to new heights. Amani is set to release a diss track about Shekinah, called SHREK-INAH, in which she will come for the 90 Day Fiancé alum who she feels wronged her. Do Shekinah and Sarper have a future in the 90 Day Fiancé franchise? Is 90 Day the last resort in their future? Even though Shekinah and Sarper are hot and cold and have many communication issues that are a detriment to their marriage, they are a highly entertaining couple. The two are not afraid to give 90 Day Fiancé fans a real impression of their relationship, even if it is destructive to their images. What's more, 3 of Shekinah's 5 sisters appeared in season 11 to meet Sarper and lend advice and opinions on their relationship. The glam nature of Shekinah and her family coupled with the harsh takes given made viewers question if Shekina, Sarper, and Shekinah's family could potentially get their own spin-off, like the Family Chantel. While there is no official word on that, it's not out of the realm of possibility, given the network's need for a family-oriented spin-off. Since Shekinah and Sarper are experiencing marital problems, they would make good candidates to land on 90 Day, The Last Resort, the franchise's therapy-style spin-off. While 90 Day Fiancé couple Shekinah and Sarper don't currently have their journey on air, they are popular enough and have enough plot within their relationship to remain as franchise figures with potential shows in their future. 90 Day Fiancé's Sarper and Shekinah respond to divorce rumors by revealing what's next for them. Sarper Guven and Shekina Garner from 90 Day Fiancé revealed if they're heading to 90 Day, The Last Resort next, since hinting at a divorce. Sarper is from Istanbul, Turkey, and met Shekina from Los Angeles on a dating app. While Sarper had been married before, he had never been in love. Sarper slept with more than 2,500 women, but Shekina became his first girlfriend. At first, Sarper was the controlling one in the relationship. When he came to America, the tables turned. Shekina started tracking Sarper, who, in turn, felt like he was depressed and losing his independence. Sarper almost didn't marry Shekina. They revealed they had marriage issues even after their iconic 90 Day Fiancé bedding. Sarper and Shekina seemed ready to end their relationship. Sarper and Shekina seemingly got a happy ending at the tell-all, but things are not going well between them in real life. Sarper and Shekina had a chat with Swoon where they discussed what's happened since their decision to get therapy, which they revealed at the tell-all. Shekina confirmed that their next goal as a couple would be to get therapy. "We've had a few sessions," Shekina confessed. "We need more, for sure, but at least we started, you know? It's almost like dating." Shekina spoke about Sarper being resistant to getting therapy at first, but finally agreeing to it was the biggest thing. She admitted that it was hard for them to find a good therapist. She compared it to going on a lot of first dates and finding one that's a good fit. Without revealing the name, Shekina mentioned they found a good one and that they need to talk to him more often. What Sarper and Shekina going to therapy means for relationship. Why Sarper's commitment issues still haunt his marriage with Shekina. Shekina and Sarper share strong, similar personalities that often clash, especially when one wants to change something in the relationship. They had even tried therapy before getting married. However, Sarper, who saw himself as the alpha in the relationship, was hesitant. In his culture, therapy is often seen as a sign of weakness for men, and maintaining a sense of masculinity is deeply important to them. However, Shekina stood her ground when it came to getting Sarper to shed his bad boy image. She successfully influenced his mindset, helping him grow and mature within the relationship. Still, her constant emphasis on being the one making all the sacrifices began to backfire. Sarper pulled away, and his renewed fear of commitment left Shekina feeling frustrated and disappointed. Shekina felt that Sarper wasn't taking responsibility in their relationship. However, recent updates suggest he's now taking his career as a personal trainer and comedian more seriously. He's even open to couples therapy, showing he genuinely cares about Shekina, and no longer sees their marriage as temporary. Sarper draws inspiration from his parents, who have been married for over 45 years. Our take on Sarper and Shekina's therapy update. Why Shekina and Sarper chose therapy over happily ever after. Shekina and Sarper should ideally have been featured in the next season of Happily Ever After. However, going to therapy instead shows that their marriage has hardly seen any happy days since the bedding. Things have taken an interesting turn in the pair's lives compared to other 90 Day Fiancé couples. It remains to be seen if the couple's therapy sessions manage to help whatever's broken between them. 90 Day Fiancé Season 11, did Shekina Garner move into a bigger house? Sarper compared the Los Angeles home to a prison. 90 Day Fiancé star SARPER CRIES' life turned upside down when he came to the US and realized he was to live in a small house with some atrocious house rules with Shekina Garner. SARPER, from Turkey, was working as a personal trainer in his country when Shekina met him via a dating app during her vacation. SARPER and Shekina started dating with the Turkish man deciding to get rid of his bad boy image. SARPER had been with 2,500 or more women in his past. This time, SARPER wanted a relationship and a girlfriend he could control. Meanwhile, SARPER's controlling behavior towards Shekina was called out. However, Shekina too had certain rules for SARPER which even affected his sources of income. SARPER did not take any women clients for personal training. Moreover, SARPER had to be the one who moved from Turkey to the US as Shekina had to keep flying back and forth for her daughter and her successful skincare business. SARPER thought Shekina's house was smaller than he expected. To SARPER, Shekina's home was a prison. Coming to the US meant experiencing a huge culture shock for SARPER. He called his experience of heading to the US a nightmare trip from Turkey. Once he landed in America and wished to return to the comfort of Shekina's home, his reaction was to observe that it was a little smaller than he expected. He joked that Shekina's dog Adonis and he were prison inmates. He saw that the tiny space was completely overtaken by Shekina's skincare equipment, and soon enough, Shekina told SARPER about her house rules, which may have made SARPER want to go back to Istanbul. SARPER was left speechless, in the worst possible way, when Shekina opened the door to her home and attempted to justify the mess of equipment scattered around. She told him that the facial equipment was there because she worked from home. SARPER mentioned that the house looked bigger in the photos. However, there was a reclining spa chair sitting where one would expect a dining table to be, shelves of lotions lined the walls instead of kitchen decor, and skincare machines filled the space next to a brown leather couch. SARPER was kicked out by Shekina when she got clients. Shekina kicked SARPER out. While there was a kitchen in her house, they couldn't cook there. She had clients coming over and didn't want the place to smell like food. SARPER realized that Shekina did not cook at home at all and expected SARPER to buy food from outside. Not cooking in a house? What the F*******? I mean, are we living in a hotel room? SARPER commented. However, it was not the end of SARPER's problems. She needed him to go away when clients visited her since they were women and could feel uncomfortable that a man was in the room. Shekina wants fans to help her buy a house. Shekina says she's poor. Shekina was called out by fans who saw her servicing her clients in a cramped kitchen and expecting SARPER to leave the house with nowhere to go whenever she had people over. Fans slammed Shekina in her Q&A. Shekina received a question, why not buy a house instead of living in a shoebox? Shekina responded with a video of herself walking through a parking garage, sipping on a drink as she filmed herself. Because I'm poor, she wrote. Help me. The 90 Day Fiancé star revealed that she had lost a lot of clients from frequent trips to Turkey. 90 Day Fiancé, did SARPER CRIES and Shekina Garner get married in US? Their surprising relationship status revealed. SARPER CRIES and Shekina Garner are back, and this time, they will be documenting their race to the altar on 90 Day Fiancé Season 11. SARPER is from Istanbul and had been in a long-distance relationship with Shekina from Los Angeles on The Other Way Seasons 5 and 6. Shekina met model, actor, personal trainer, and former exotic dancer SARPER on a dating app while on vacation in his country. They clicked instantly even though SARPER was dating multiple women at the time he met Shekina. Within a few months, Shekina found herself moving to Turkey. SARPER and Shekina are one of the few recent 90 Day Fiancé couples that have featured in multiple seasons and spin-offs of the show. It shows how popular they are and how invested fans are in SARPER and Shekina's storyline. The biggest question now about their 90 Day Fiancé journey is whether Shekina was able to make a husband out of the playboy. SARPER and Shekina's highs and lows on The Other Way. What happened to SARPER and Shekina on The Other Way? SARPER and Shekina were last seen in The Other Way Season 6. Shekina's friends and family warned her against dating SARPER, who had bragged about how he'd slept with some 3,000 women. She felt her connection with Sarper was so strong that she was giving up the life she had built in Los Angeles to be with Sarper. Once she went to Turkey, Shekina was upset with Sarper having female clients at work, and he also refused to post about Shekina on social media. Sarper ended up in a bad place financially due to Shekina's condition. However, Sarper was still controlling aspects of Shekina's life, such as making her get a rhinoplasty. Sarper's anger issues also surfaced. He ripped out Shekina's hair extensions during an argument. Sarper snatched her phone out of her hand and wouldn't give it back to her. The couple was able to work through their differences as Sarper proposed to Shekina and she said yes. However, Sarper was not too keen on leaving Turkey. In the tell-all, it was revealed that Sarper was already in the US. Did Sarper's K-1 visa get approved on 90 Day Fiancé Season 11? Sarper looked worried in 90 Day Fiancé Episode 1. In Episode 1 of 90 Day Fiancé Season 11, Sarper and Shekina had the biggest day of their lives. Sarper was headed to the US Embassy to give an interview for his K-1 visa. Shekina couldn't wait until Sarper came to the US so they could freely kiss on the street. It was stressful since Shekina couldn't live in Turkey as she had to go back home every 3 weeks to spend time with her teenage daughters. If Sarper doesn't get approved today, I really don't see how we can survive in a long-distance relationship. The situation was stressful for Shekina and Sarper because they had a lot riding on it. Shekina was waiting for 3 hours to know what happened with Sarper's visa at the end of the episode. While she expected that they had received good news, Sarper walked up to her looking somber, as if he had been rejected for the K-1 visa. The episode ended on a cliffhanger. Sarper was spotted in the US. In August 2024. Shekina and Sarper are still together, they got married. In August 2024, Shaboodi reported that a fan had driven by Sarper filming in Burbank. The fan was a famous musician who lives in LA, so it was a reputable source. In September 2024, Reddit user Crystallion shared a picture of Sarper in Monterey, California as proof. In January 2025, 90 Day Fiancé's Sarper announced he was giving one-to-one personal training and coaching services in Los Angeles. Considering the K-1 visa is valid for 3 months and Sarper has been living in America for over 5 months, it's safe to assume that he is now a married man.